ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Brandon Hodge here, and welcome back to another episode of Tips. This is number 3, I believe. This is kind of just like a chill series. It's kind of like unplanned. Just turn on the camera, and I'll come up with some kind of topic off the top of my head, and we'll start talking about it. So I believe so far I did one about going to wrestling shows, as per going to an individual wrestling show, like how you do that. You go to the show, how you can meet some wrestlers before the show, stuff like that. I believe the other one I made was about meeting wrestlers, kind of like meet and greets and stuff, and how that kind of goes. Some of them are free, some of them are not free. Experience can be good or really bad, just whatever, however you want to make it. But in this video is actually not about like individual wrestling show. This is about like if you're doing a trip, like a WWE trip. Now, I think most people, if they do a wrestling trip, it's going to be like WrestleMania or something, and they're going to go like all the shows, WrestleMania week or whatever. But for me, I've been to like a lot of trips. I've done like WrestleMania week, I've done the Royal Rumble week, I've done just, you know, I went to like pay-per-views, like just a random pay-per-view, like, I'm trying to think of one, let's say like Payback, and then I went to the Raw and SmackDown after, so I did three nights in a row. So these are just kind of the tips about, I mean, this is just traveling tips in general, but here's what, that's what this video is going to be about. It's about tips for traveling for wrestling shows and all that good stuff. Because as we all know, I have been to quite a few wrestling trips in my time here on YouTube, and hopefully I can start doing wrestling trips again here soon. Just got to get everything set up here at my new apartment and everything set back up here with YouTube. But that's basically what I'm doing. But that's what this video is going to be. So here we go. So okay, so first thing first, if you're doing a wrestling trip, decide what shows you're going to before you plan anything else out. So I mean, you don't have to plan every show. I've done this before where I'm just going to this one pay-per-view, and then I see the Raw is here, and I'm like, okay, I'll go to the Raw too. And then I see the SmackDown is only a few hours away from where the Raw was, so I'm like, okay, let's just do all 3. Let's do the pay-per-view, the Raw, and the SmackDown. So Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, let's go all go to wrestling shows. So basically, decide what you're going to. If it's WrestleMania, it's pretty basic. I mean, you could get like a travel package, even though I'm not a big fan of the travel package they do, because everything's overpriced. You can buy it separately, way cheaper. I mean, way cheaper. You could get floor for the price they're charging for the upper. But, well, not upper, but you know what I mean. Like, you can get like floor, like, I think one of their lower freaking travel packages is like 3,000 or something, or 2,000, I can't remember, but floor is only 1,000, and then you get tickets for other shows last minute real cheap. But that's for WrestleMania. But as for that, other shows, if you're doing like a 3-show trip like I used to do, like you go to the pay-per-view, you go to the Raw, you go to the SmackDown, decide if you want to go to all 3, okay, make sure you get the tickets, and now it's time to get your hotel. So get your hotel in the cities for all 3 nights. Sometimes they'll do like the triple nights in the same arena in the same city. Sometimes, I'm going to use this as an example, Payback 2015 trip. Payback 2015 was, can I remember? I'm trying to think. Where was... I literally cannot remember the shows I've been to. That's how many shows I've been to. I'm gonna have to look this up real quick. I apologize. Be right back. Okay, actually, I just remembered as I was looking up where all this was. Okay, so Payback 2015 was in Baltimore. So I had to get a hotel for Baltimore, tickets for the Baltimore show, and travel to Baltimore. And then I had the next night, the Raw was down in Richmond, Virginia. So you had to drive from Baltimore to Richmond, which isn't that far. I think it's a few hours. And then you had to get a hotel for Richmond. Make sure you have your Raw Richmond ticket. And then Tuesday night, the SmackDown was in Norfolk, Virginia, which is another few hours away from Richmond, which is like 4 hours away from Baltimore or something. So, yeah. So, basically, if you fly in somewhere, make sure you fly out of a different place and you don't get a round trip. I'm a bigger fan of driving nowadays, though, because it's just like... I can get in my car and go. I don't have to deal with airport security. I don't have to deal with lines. I don't have to deal with sitting on a plane. I mean, sure... I'm not going to get there in an hour, but I'll drive like 6 hours. I don't care. I'll drive like I've been driving a lot this past year. Like a 12-hour drive isn't really that bad to me anymore. And a lot of people are like, I would literally want to kill myself. How are you sitting in the car for 12 hours? It's really not that big of a deal. And I drove across the country, so like 12 hours is nothing for a show for me. I mean, if it's a big show, I'm not driving 12 hours for just a Raw. But if it's like a big pay-per-view, I'm like 12 hours. Yeah, sure, I'll drive. I mean, it's a lot cheaper. I don't have to deal with the lines. I don't have to deal with security. Don't have to deal with a bunch of sweaty strangers sitting around me. I'm fine. I'll just drive. Like, that's what I would prefer to do. But if you prefer to fly, of course, find your airline, find your seats. Sometimes you gotta pay more for your seats, and you gotta pay for your baggage and stuff. Flying is very expensive, a lot more expensive than driving. I mean, you're paying for your time is really what you're paying for, but by driving, you get to see a lot of stuff, though. If you're driving across the country or something, I would prefer to drive across the country instead of fly across the country. I mean, sure, you're gonna be in the car every day for like 4 days, but you get to see all this stuff, and you get to stop and do stuff, and go to gift shops and see all this cool stuff. In my opinion, driving is just a way better way to travel, at least in the United States, I would say. I mean, if you're like in the UK or something, or some place where it just always rains, driving's not the most enjoyable thing in the world, at least long distance driving, but here in the US, usually you can drive across, it's all sunny, especially head out west and stuff. Yeah, so the things about going to shows, these trips, you want to make sure you get your tickets before. I would recommend getting tickets before. I mean, I have got the tickets like last minute, but just make sure you have your hotel set up and everything. I would recommend go ahead and booking your hotel online, or going through a travel place. I always do it online though. It's just much easier, and you can like go to one of these websites like TripAdvisor or something and see all the hotels for the city and the cheapest ones they have. I mean, you don't necessarily want to get the cheapest one because it's probably going to be in a bad area, and there's going to be it's not going to be the nicest place in the world. Like the hotel itself is going to be not all fancy and stuff. I mean, you don't want it all fancy and stuff, but you don't want it to be like, oh, there's a dead rat right there. That's not what you want in a hotel. So maybe like somewhere in between the most expensive and the cheapest. I mean, most expensive, I don't mean the $20,000 one, I mean maybe like $100 or something. So yeah, just look around for hotels and stuff. Make sure you get your tickets. As for travel, make sure if you're flying, you got a transportation from the airport. Because if you're flying, you're stuck at the airport. If you're not 25 or older, guess what? You can't get a rental car, so you're stuck using a taxi, Uber, or Lyft, or any of the other ride-sharing things. Or if you know someone in the city, they can ride you around or whatever. So yeah, just make sure you got transportation to all these places that you're gonna be going. Because more than likely, if you're going on a trip and it's not WrestleMania or something like that, you'd be traveling over a little bit. Down in Texas, when I went for the Royal Rumble, I guess it was 2017. Yeah, 2017. It was literally a triangle what we did, because we had to fly back. We got the round trip through San Antonio, and Rumble was in San Antonio. So we went to NXT in San Antonio. We went to the Royal Rumble in San Antonio. Then we drove down to I'm sorry everyone who lives in Loretto or whatever. I'm sorry I cannot say your name, but the name of your city. But we drove down there. So San Antonio's up here. We drive down to Loretto for Monday Night Raw, then you drive over to Corpus Christi for SmackDown, then back up to San Antonio Fly. So we did a triangle that trip. So just make sure you know what you're doing. It's nice if you have like a map of like the state or whatever, where you can kind of draw on it and know where you're going and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, traveling's very fun and stuff like this. I'm sorry this video is just kind of all over the place, I feel like right now, but this is just like an unplanned video where I'm just kind of chilling, and if I'm like talking to a friend, this is how I'm gonna explain it. Just make sure you have it all planned out and stuff like that. Hotel, rental car, Uber, whatever you're using. Uber can get very expensive. Like, you gotta watch if you're doing the ride-share Uber stuff, because I believe WrestleMania weekend down in Orlando, I spent like $300 on Uber or something, and like I didn't even go that far. I was just going like 5 miles from here to here. It wasn't like I'm asking them to drive to the ocean or something from Orlando. It's not like I'm asking them to drive an hour or something. It's just a few miles. It's like, okay, for this 5 miles, it's gonna cost you like whatever it was, $15 or whatever, and then it keeps adding up and adding up. You gotta watch how much you use Uber, and if you're like with friends, hopefully you can split Ubers with them and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I still think driving is the best, because with flying, you gotta pay for your flight, you gotta pay for if you want to choose your seat in advance, you gotta pay for your bags, you gotta pay for transportation from the airport. That would be a rental car, Uber, taxi, whatever. Then you gotta pay for if you're hungry, you want airport food and stuff like that. I mean, it gets very expensive to fly. It's just much easier to drive, in my opinion. But yeah, as for the next trip for me, I'm not actually sure. I'm pretty sure I'm going to Survivor Series out in Los Angeles in November. I just got to save up for that. Other than that, I don't know as for trips, but there might be like an individual show that might pop up down here in Tennessee near me that I'm really like, oh, okay, I'll go to that, and I'm just going to do a random vlog without announcing it. So yeah, I haven't actually been to a pay-per-view this year. Like last year, I went to like 6 pay-per-views or something, so it's a big adjustment. I mean, I went to 6 pay-per-views and like 20 Raws or something last year, and I've only been to two Raws. I think I've only been to 2 shows this whole year, so that's a big change for me. I've just been kind of like, a lot of stuff in my life's been changing. I've been like moving into my new apartment. That's why if you're just not joining me here in the new studio, this is the new studio. my girlfriend Michelle set up this shelf. Hopefully you guys like it. I heard some people suggesting I should switch this and this, and I might do that. I just have to do that, and hopefully it fits all right and everything, but I'm just kind of getting everything set up. But as for tips for me here in the future, hopefully I can get some I get some money saved up and stuff like that, because this stuff is very expensive to do, and 2017 really killed me. So I'm just back here with YouTube. Hopefully I can keep doing YouTube constantly, because I can get you know, earnings from YouTube and stuff like that. And like I said on the live from a few days ago, everything I've always got from YouTube I've always put back on the channel. Now that's another thing I can talk about in the trips. This isn't a tip or anything. I mean, I know a lot of people are curious about me, how I afforded to do all these trips and stuff. Well, everything I got here from YouTube, I just put right back into the channel without, I mean, sure, I pay for a place to sleep and stuff like that with the money, but yeah, I've always put it back in the channel, either with buying a new camera, doing a trip, going to a show, vlogging it for you guys or something like that. It's always been something I could give back to you guys from the earnings, so that's cool and stuff like that. But ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's really it for this video. That's all the tips I really have. Just make sure you plan out everything very closely. I've tried to give you all the tips I can here. I mean, I gave you tips a few videos back about buying tickets. As for hotels, just search around, use a few different sites, TripAdvisor, Trivago, whatever other hotel searching sites they are. Find your transportation. If you're driving, then do that. Drive, it's pretty easy. Just make sure you have gas and you don't run out of gas. And make sure you plan your route carefully. I would prefer, at least for me, I like to be on the interstate. That way you just drive the whole way through and you have to deal with red lights and like weird stuff. And the speed limits are usually pretty fast. Now when you get out west, the speed limits are really fun on the interstate, especially if you have like a sports car like I have. Like I have a Dodge Challenger. You get on the interstates out west, the speed limit's 80, and like, okay, like most cops won't pull you over if you go like 5 over, so you can go like 85 and some like really deserty places out west. You could really have some fun out there. So just letting you guys know, if you ever drive out west, the speed limits are really fun out there, because everything's so flat and there's not like a high risk if you go fast or whatever. Like the speed limit's 80. Like out here in Tennessee, the speed limit, it's usually about 70, but around my area it's 65 miles per hour on the interstate. I know some other states are a little less, they'll give you a little less than that. I know New York speed limit's at 65. Tennessee's is 70, Virginia's is 70. I mean, 70 is probably the average for the United States, 70 miles per hour, but yeah, you head out west, you can really get out there fast, because the speed limit does go up as you get out there. Like you'll see the speed limit go from like 65, 70, 75, 80, and I think some places in Texas the speed limit goes up to actually 85 miles an hour, so it's absolutely crazy. But enough of me rambling on about speed limits and stuff. Traveling's very fun. If you guys ever get a chance to do it, definitely do it. If you think you don't have the money to do it, I promise you, if you keep saving and you keep saving, you will eventually have enough money to do an awesome trip and have an awesome time, whatever. Make sure if you're traveling like a long distance or whatever, you do have someone going with you, because it can get dangerous. If you're driving like, let's say more than like 10 hours or something and you get really sleepy, it can get a bit dangerous or something. But as for saving, I mean, I don't know how much you guys are willing to save a month, but if you can save like $100, $200, $300 a month, and you keep adding to that in a few months, you can have an awesome trip and have enough money for an awesome trip. But enough of me rambling. Hopefully these tips help you guys just a little bit if you're looking to do a WWE wrestling trip. I've been to a few, so if you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, any other social media you can find me on. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. It's absolutely free, guys. I will see you guys in the next video.